Our headlines today. Afghan war veterans and their families joined calls for an apology from President Trump after he claimed NATO troops stayed back from the front lines in the conflict.
I think our son had a wonderful saying which said, "No, engage brain before opening mouth." And I think President Trump should do the same thing.
The Labour Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has until 5 o'clock this afternoon to decide whether to stand in a by-election that could allow his return to Parliament.
Talks between Russia, Ukraine and the United States will continue into a second day in Abu Dhabi as the three sides discuss an end to the conflict.
Good morning. In sport, extreme heat stops play at the Australian Open tennis this morning with defending men's champion Yannick Sinner admitting he got lucky as the break helped him fight back from a losing position. Some fans saying it wasn't fair game.
On a Saturday morning, let's take you through some of the front pages. And starting with The Guardian, leading on reaction to President Trump's claim that NATO troops stayed off the front line in Afghanistan. It reports the Prime Minister has called for Mr Trump to apologise, describing his comments as insulting and, frankly, appalling.
The Times is focusing on young people not in education, employment or training, also known as NEETs. It quotes former Labour Cabinet Minister Alan Milburn, who's, I think, leading a government review into how to support people in this category. He says young people with mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression are being written off after being diagnosed with what he calls normal mental health conditions.
Let's have a look at the Eye, leading with what it calls Labour left plots against Keir Starmer and the Health Secretary Wes Streeting. It claims that key figures in the party, including Angela Rayner, support Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham's potential return to the Commons. The Telegraph, lastly, reporting that patients will be able to find out if they have genes linked to cancer thanks to a new register being developed by the NHS. It says the health service is working on a database of 120 genes which would allow cancer patients to receive tailored treatment and improve survival rates.
Now, did you watch Traitors last night, the final? If you didn't, and you're waiting to enjoy it later on today, over the weekend, we are going to be talking to the 5 players who made it to the final later on in the programme. And obviously there will be spoilers, but we will give you plenty of advance warning, don't worry. But The Times this morning has a review of the show from last night, which gives it 5 stars. It was absolutely brilliant. You enjoyed it.
Be careful, Rachel.
Did the right people win?
Be very careful.
Did the right people win?
I'm not saying a word.
They've also...
What are you going to tell us?
Well, they've also spoken to someone who they call or describe as a world expert on deceit. Now, as we know, Rachel, one of the traitors, revealed... was it last week, that she had gone through this FBI training, so she said she could spot liars. Now, this guy says, actually, if you want to spot a liar, don't look at body language. People always talk about body language. And he's like, actually, no. If people are sort of well-rehearsed about lying, then they will train their bodies to compensate for what you might think are obvious tells. So they'll look you in the eye, they'll be direct.
Like twitching and things like that?
No, they won't twitch, that's what I'm saying. So he says what you should look for is people being kind and empathetic, and that will perhaps really tell you who the deceitful people are.
What a nice idea.
Yeah. So if you're overly friendly, don't trust someone. How
do we know the expert in lying is not lying?
We don't. We have to trust him.
He
does advise US law enforcement agencies, including the FBI. But yeah, could be a double bluff. Isn't that what a traitor would say?
In the last few minutes, President Trump has paid tribute to the British troops who fought in Afghanistan. It follows the row over his controversial claims 2 days ago that they and other NATO troops stayed back from the front line fighting there. Those comments caused widespread outrage among British veterans and relatives of the 457 British troops killed in the conflict. And there was condemnation from the Prime Minister and across the political spectrum. Live now to David Willis in the United States. David, what exactly has the President just been saying?
Well, in the last hour, Ben, President Trump has taken to his Truth social media platform to issue the closest thing that I can recall to an apology. That's following his suggestion in an interview with Fox News that NATO troops in Afghanistan didn't pull their weight. Well, that incensed politicians and military veterans alike. Prince Harry among them, and Sir Keir Starmer called those remarks insulting and appalling, and suggested that President Trump might think about apologising. Well, that social media post has come out from Donald Trump, and he writes, "The great and very brave soldiers of the United Kingdom will always be with the United States of America. In Afghanistan, 457 died, many were badly injured, and they were among the greatest of all warriors. It's a bond too strong to ever be broken." Mr. Trump goes on, "The UK military, with tremendous heart and soul, is second to none except for the USA. We love you all and always will." Signed, President Trump. Well, such was the outrage that there were calls for King Charles perhaps to cancel his proposed visit to the United States this spring. But now Donald Trump has done something he very, very rarely does, and that is to back down on those incendiary comments.